January 1981. 20. Side view of aircraft in flight with extended gear, against a grassy hill backdrop. British Airways was one of the first customers for the RB211 powered 757. The prototype 757 rolled out of the Renton factory on the 13th of January, 1982. 37. The aircraft equipped with RB211-535C engines, 37, completed its maiden flight 1 week ahead of schedule on the 19th of February, 1982. 38. The first flight was affected by an engine stall, following indications of low oil pressure. 39. After checking system diagnostics, company test pilot John Armstrong and co-pilot Lew Wallach were able to restart the affected engine, and flight proceeded normally thereafter. 39. Subsequently, the 757 embarked on a 7-day weekly flight test schedule. 40. By this time, the aircraft had received 136 orders from 7 carriers, namely Air Florida, American Airlines, British Airways, Delta Airlines, Eastern Airlines, Monarch Airlines, and Trans-Brazil. 20. The 7-month 757 flight test program used the first 5 aircraft built. 41. Tasks included flight systems and propulsion tests, hot and cold weather trials, and route-proving flights. 42. Data from the 767 program helped expedite the process. 40. After design issues were identified, the 757's exit doors received dual spring mechanisms for easier operation, and the fuselage was strengthened for greater bird strike resistance. 43. The production aircraft was 3,600 pounds, 1,630 kilograms, lighter than originally specified, and recorded a 3% better than expected rate of fuel burn. 42. This resulted in a range increase of 200 nautical miles, 370 kilometers, 230 mi, and prompted Boeing to tout the aircraft's fuel efficiency characteristics. 42. After 1,380 flight test hours, 44. The RB211 powered 757 received U.S. Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) certification on the 21st of December, 1982, followed by UK Civil Aviation Authority (CAA) certification on the 14th of January, 1983. 39. 41. The first delivery to launch customer Eastern Airlines occurred on the 22nd of December, 1982, about 4 months after the first 767 deliveries. 39. 45. The first 757 with PW2037 engines rolled out about 1 year later, and was delivered to Delta Airlines on November 5, 1984. 39. Service entry and operations. Side view of Silver Twinjet in flight, with 757 markings on tail. Eastern Airlines began domestic 757 operations in January 1983 and later deployed the aircraft on transcontinental routes. Eastern Airlines operated the first commercial 757 flight on the 1st of January 1983, on the Atlanta to Tampa route. 39. On the 9th of February 1983, British Airways began using the aircraft for London to Belfast shuttle services, where it replaced Hawker Siddeley Trident III Trijets. 46. Charter carriers Monarch Airlines and Air Europe also began 757 operations later that year. 47. Early operators noted improved reliability and quieter performance compared with previous jetliners. 47. Transition courses eased pilots' introduction to the new CRT-based cockpit, and no major technical issues arose. 47. Eastern Airlines first 727 operator to take delivery of 757s, confirmed that the aircraft had greater payload capability than its predecessor, along with lower operating costs through improved fuel burn and the use of a two-crew member flight deck. 47, compared with the 707 and 727. The new twinjet consumed 42 and 40% less fuel per seat, respectively, on typical medium-haul flights. 11. Despite the successful debut, 757 sales remained stagnant for most of the 1980s, a consequence of declining fuel prices and a shift to smaller aircraft in the post-deregulation U.S. market. 39. Although no direct competitor existed, 19. 150-seat narrow-bodies such as the McDonnell Douglas MD-80 were less expensive and carried nearly as many passengers as some airlines' 757s. 16. 39. A three-year sales drought abated in November 1983 when Northwest Airlines placed orders for 20 aircraft, which averted a costly production rate decrease. 48. In December 1985, a freighter model, the 757-200PF, was announced following a launch order for 20 aircraft from UPS Airlines. 39. And in February 1986, a freighter passenger Combi model, the 757-200M, was launched with an order for one aircraft from Royal Nepal Airlines. 49. The freighter model included a main deck cargo hold and entered service with UPS in September 1987. 50. The Combi model could carry both cargo and passengers on its main deck and entered service with Royal Nepal Airlines in September 1988. 49. In the late 1980s, increasing airline hub congestion and the onset of U.S. airport noise regulations fueled a turnaround in 757 sales. 39. From 1988 to 1989, airlines placed 322 orders, including a combined 160 orders from American Airlines and United Airlines. 39. 51. By this time, the 757 had become commonplace on short-haul domestic flights and transcontinental services in THU.S. 50, and had replaced aging 707s, 727s, Douglas DC-8s, and McDonnell Douglas DC-9s. 52. The 757-200s maximum range of 3,900 nautical miles, 7,220 kilometers, 4,490 mi. 28, which was over 1.5 times the 727s. 17. Allowed airlines to use the aircraft on longer non-stop routes. 53. The 757 was also flown out of airports with stringent noise regulations, such as John Wayne Airport in Orange County, California. 54. And airports with aircraft size restrictions, such as Washington National Airport near downtown Washington. D.C. 10. The largest U.S. operators, Delta Airlines and American Airlines, will ultimately operate fleets of over 100 aircraft each. 50. In Europe, British Airways, Iberia, and Iceland Air were the 757's largest mainline customers. 55. While other carriers such as Lufthansa rejected the type as too large for their narrow-body aircraft needs. 43. Many European charter airlines, including Air 2000, Air Holland, and LTU International. 45. Also acquired the twinjet for holiday and tour package flights in the late 1980s. 50. 52. In Asia, where even larger aircraft were commonly preferred because of greater passenger volumes, the 757 found fewer orders. 56. A 1982 sales demonstration was unable to attract a purchase from potential customer Japan. Side quarter view of aircraft at takeoff, with snow-covered mountains behind. Monarch Airlines began 757 charter services in March 1983. Airlines 4557, and the first Asian customer, Singapore Airlines, sold its 4757s in 1989 inches favor of standardizing on the 240-seat wide-body Airbus A310. Just 5 years after debuting the type on Indonesian and Malaysian routes. 58. The 757 fared better in China, where following an initial purchase by the Kak Airlines in 1987, 50, orders grew to 59 aircraft, making it the largest Asian market. 45. Operators such as China Southern, China Southwest, Shanghai Airlines, Xiamen Airlines, and Xinjiang Airlines used the 757 on medium-length domestic routes. 59. In 1986, the FAA approved RB211-powered 757s for extended-range twin-engine operational performance standards, ETOPS, operations over the North Atlantic. 12. 44. Following precedents set by the 767. 60. Under ETOPS regulations, a set of safety standards governing twinjet flights over oceans and other areas without nearby suitable landing sites, airlines began using the aircraft for mid-range intercontinental routes. 12. Although the 757 was not originally intended for transoceanic flights, regulators based their decision on its reliable performance record on extended transcontinental U.S. services. 60. 61. ETOPS certification for 757s equipped with PW2000 series engines was granted in 1992. 49. In the early 1990s, the FAA and other U.S. government agencies, including the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, and the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, began studying the 757's wake turbulence characteristics. 62. This followed several incidents, including 2 fatal crashes, in which small private aircraft experienced loss of control when flying close behind the twinjet. 62. Smaller airliners had also suffered unexpected rolling movements when flying behind 757s. 62. Investigators focused on the aircraft's aft-loaded wing design, which at certain points during takeoff or landing could produce wingtip vortices that were stronger than those emanating from larger 767s and 747s. 63. Other tests were inconclusive, leading to debate among government agencies, and in 1994 and 1996 the FAA updated air traffic control regulations to require greater separation behind the 757 than other large category jets. 62. 64. The 757 became the only sub-300,000 pound, 136,000 kilograms, airliner to be classified as a heavy jet, alongside wide-body aircraft, under FAA separation rules. 63. Stretched variant. Production of the 757 peaked at an annual rate of 100 aircraft in the early 1990s. 65. During which time upgraded models came under consideration. 13. For over a decade, the narrow-body twinjet had been its manufacturer's only single-aisle airliner without a stretched variant, and while rumors of a long-range 757-200X and stretched 757-300X persisted, no formal announcements had been made. 13. European charter carriers were particularly interested in a higher capacity version which could take better advantage of the 757's range. 50. Besides meeting the needs of charter customers, a larger model will enable Boeing to match the passenger lift capabilities of the 767-200 with lower operating costs. 66. And counter longer-range versions of the 185-seat Airbus A321, 67, a new stretched variant of the A320 narrow-body airliner. 50, 68, side view of aircraft in flight with extended gear. Condor became the first operator of stretched 757-300 in March 1999. In September 1996, following a launch order for 12 aircraft from charter carrier Condor, Boeing announced the stretched 757-300 at the Farnborough Air Show. 13. The new model was a 23.4-foot, 7.13 m. stretch of the 757-200, resulting in room for 50 more passengers and nearly 50% more cargo. 69. 29. The type's design phase was intended to be the shortest in its manufacturer's history, with 27 months from launch to certification. 13. Duetto development and cost concerns. Radical upgrades such as a next-generation 737-style advanced cockpit were not implemented. 70. Instead, the stretched derivative received upgraded engines, enhanced avionics, and a redesigned interior. 49. 70. The first 757-300 rolled out on the 31st of May 1998, and completed its maiden flight on August 2, 1998. 50. Following regulatory certification in January 1999, the type entered service with Condor on the 19th of March 1999. 50. The 757-300 was also ordered by American Trans Air, Archaea Israel Airlines, Continental Airlines, Iceland Air, and Northwest Airlines. 45. Sales for the type remained slow, and ultimately totaled 55 aircraft. 50. Boeing had targeted the 757-300 as a potential 767-200 replacement for two of its largest customers, American Airlines and United Airlines. But neither were in a financial position to commit to new aircraft. 71. Overtures to other charter airlines also did not result in further orders. 72. By November 1999, faced with diminishing sales and a reduced backlog despite the launch of the 757-300, Boeing began studying a decrease in 757 production rates. 73. Further developments. While the 757 program had been financially successful, declining sales in the early 2000s threatened its continued viability. 73. 74. Airlines were again gravitating towards smaller aircraft, now mainly the 737 and a 320, because of the reduced financial risk. 75. An airline industry downturn and the large number of relatively young 757s already in service also reduced customer demand. 74. In 2000, spurred by interest from Air 2000 and Continental Airlines, Boeing re-examined the possibility of building a longer-range 757-200X. 76. The proposed derivative would have featured auxiliary fuel tanks, plussing and landing gear upgrades from the 757-300, resulting in a higher MTO and a potential range increase to over 5,000 nautical miles, 9,260 kilometers, 5,750 mi. 76. However, the proposal failed to garner any orders. 45. 72. In March 2001, Boeing delivered the first 757-200 SF, a second-hand 757-200 converted for freighter use, to DHL Aviation. 77. The 757-200 SF marked the manufacturer's first foray into passenger-to-freighter conversions. 78. Front quarter view of twin-jet aircraft at takeoff, with extended gear. Shanghai Airlines received the last production 757, B 2876. In November 2005. Customer interest in new 757s continued to decline, and in 2003, a renewed sales campaign centered on the 757 to 300